Okay, so here we have the co-founder and CEO of DMZ Finance. Thank you for being with us, and we have a couple of questions to ask you. First up, what is the single most dangerous assumption people in TradFi are still making about digital assets that's going to cost them their business in the next decade?
Today, a lot of business are still thinking of digital assets as a totally different avenue to their core business. We think of it as almost back in the days where people think of, let's say, e-commerce as a totally separate business line, right? But eventually, as we see over the years, that every company now have e-commerce as part of the distribution channel. So it's not a totally new business where people consider, are you an e-commerce company or are you not an e-commerce company? It becomes that all companies have e-commerce as part of the distribution channel. So in terms of digital assets, it's almost the same way. Eventually, because it's a technology breakthrough, blockchain is technology breakthrough. So eventually, all companies will want to leverage on this technology to help them in all sorts of aspects. Example, distribution, right? So that's what we see as the issue now is, if you're still thinking of it as totally different, then you may miss out on the whole technology change entirely. So that's what could be the key risk to most businesses if they ignore the evolution.
Thank you. And the next question is, the RWA narrative promises to bring trillions of assets on chain, but liquidity remains a challenge. Is the problem that we're trying to tokenize complex illiquid assets, or should we focus on the boring but liquid stuff like tokenizing treasury bills or corporate debt first?
I think the issue with this RWA tokenization and why it's illiquid is when it originates, the idea is that blockchain tokenization allows a lot of things or all things to be tokenized and becomes small parts. It becomes able to trade very fast and very, very liquid. So in a sense that when the first batch of assets that becomes tokenized, it was all those assets that in nature was illiquid. And people thought that by tokenizing it becomes liquid. But after a while, people realized that by tokenizing doesn't change the underlying nature of the asset. If an asset is itself illiquid, by tokenizing it doesn't change it to become liquid overnight. So the underlying characteristic of that asset is still very important, which is why now as RWA becomes more mainstream and more mature, people are starting to back to basics. The underlying nature of the assets has to be standardized, well recognized. So that's why when you talk about tokenized money market fund, that falls into the category. So we are starting to see the fundamental coming into place, where the most easy one that people can understand becomes tokenized first, tokenized money market fund. And then after that, we should see in phases or in steps that you should see the next phase will be maybe fixed income and equities coming through. So once this foundational asset class has been tokenized, then we can expect to see the rest of the less liquid one to come through. So eventually RWA will translate into what people envision the technology can help to provide. But because it's new, so when it's new, you don't go to the tail end of to tokenize. So it comes with the front part first, the foundational asset class to be tokenized first before the rest can happen.